Hi, moms. It's Debbie, and I have a very good friend of mine. His name is Wayne Felber, and we met each other, gosh, it's got to be at least 15, 18 years ago.
I don't know. That would make me really old. So
Uh,
can we just say a few years ago?
a few years ago.
So, well, I don't know. How old is your daughter now?
Oh, she is 22.
So I'm thinking it was probably she was part of the pageant that I was a judge at. And I'm thinking probably about 8 years ago, maybe eight. I think probably about 8 years. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, long enough that we've known each other. Yeah, but I don't want to give our ages away yet.
Oh, that's all right.
Kidding.
I mean, if I just said I had a 22-year-old,
That's true.
pretty much.
Yeah.
But Wayne has a very interesting story that I wanted to bring him on to tell you, and a great thing that can really help out a lot of moms. And he's already helped out one of our moms. So, Wayne, could you just tell us your story and what you have that the grants that you have for us?
Yeah, so it all kind of started. We Our 501c3 nonprofit is called Team Felber. That's my last name. That's my wife and I. And it kind of started close to 10 years, actually 10 years ago, May. Uh, like last week, 10 years ago, last week, I was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer, and was 2 days away from getting my treatment, and got a phone call from the cancer specialist. And they said, "Oh, don't forget when you show up, bring a lunch." My treatments were going to be anywhere from 8 to 10 hours per treatment. Bring lunch, bring comfortable clothing, bring blankets, whatever. And don't forget your copay of $1,500. And I said, "Oh, wow, gosh, nobody
Yeah,
told me that." Uh, you
we've
know,
all
so
experienced that.
yeah, we've all experienced that. I didn't know it was $1,500 copay. I said, "Oh, is that for like?" I was set to start and do 6 months, and then we'd stop and start again. And they said that no, that's every time you walk in and get treatment. So basically, I was doing a treatment every 21 days. They said you're going to need $9,500. If you don't have the 1,500, we can't start. So I said, "Wow, that's crazy. It's Friday. I'm supposed to start Monday. I really need this treatment." We've kind of delayed it a few weeks as it was, just because there was a battery of tests. Originally, when I found out I had cancer, they thought I had stage 1. Then they did the PET scan and said, "Oh, wow, it's actually stage 3." And I had Hodgkin's lymphocyte predominant, which, uh, lucky me at the time, and probably to this date, I'm one of the few people in South Florida that's had it. 1 in 1.5 million people get it. It's a very rare form, and they actually don't have a common treatment for it. So they treat it like non-Hodgkin's. So I said, "Well, let me call you back. Let me see what I can do." Called my wife, cried, screamed, kicked. My wife at the time was working for the Red Cross, which anybody that works for the Red Cross knows you're there for the love of people, not the money. And so she said, "Well, we'll figure it out." And I called back and I said, "All right, I need your financial assistance officer, let's make a payment arrangement." And I found out, a dirty little secret a lot of places don't want you to know. A lot of cancer centers will not make payment arrangements with patients for chemo, um, especially adults. They say it's because they mix the chemo that day and it's specifically for you, which it is. But I kind of joke and seriously say, I think it's they're worried, like, what if you don't make it, and then they're stuck with a $10,000 bill? Who's going to pay it? So I got on the radio with a local talk show, the Love Doctors on Real Radio. They used to be on Clear Channel and WZZR, and said, "Hey guys, can you give me 3 minutes to tell what's going on in my life? Because I think if somebody hears me complaining, maybe the cancer center will say, well, we don't want this. The squeaky wheel gets the oil." And a really awesome lady named Jean Fisher from the Cancer Alliance of Help and Hope, they're a local charity. They help cancer patients by paying like their mortgage or their car payment, or they don't pay your medical bills, but they pay your everyday bills. So you could take your bill money and pay your cancer treatment or your radiation or whatever you need to go through. She found me on Facebook and said, "We would love to help you." And right around that time, I think it was somebody that worked with my wife, said, you and Sharon have this. Team Felber has this. So we kind of got the nickname Team Felber, and we came up with, I've been doing stand-up comedy now for 17 and a half years. At the time, I was doing comedy, and so we said, we're Team Felber. We're beating cancer one laugh at a time. Um, and immediately we started paying it forward. Cancer Alliance helped us. They paid some of our mortgage payments. We were able to take our mortgage money and use it for my first treatment. And then at the same time, the movie The Social Network had come out about Facebook, and I got interviewed by the Post because people had heard me on the radio. Suzanne Boyd over at Channel 12 was a friend of mine. She let me talk for a couple of minutes, and she and I believe it was Eric Roby at the time were like, hey, we have a friend of ours who's got cancer, and there's a bank account set up for him over at a bank. And if you want to donate even $5. So we had used Facebook and social media to raise some of the money because on top of it, I had just been out of work for a year from an injury. I had an accident and had an injury to my foot, my right foot, my driving foot, and I couldn't drive and I couldn't stand up because it's hard to do stand-up comedy when you can't walk, so all these people started helping us, and we just thought, what can we do to help others? So from that point, literally, even when I was going through chemo, I remember like the Cancer Alliance was doing a fundraiser. They were doing a fashion show, and all the patients were cancer patients. And so I said, hey, I have a DJ business. I'll play the music for the show. And then right after I found out I was cancer free, September of that year, which was interesting because they said, oh, your cancer is going to come back every 3 to 5 years. So I was prepared, like, okay, every 3 to 5 years, I'm going to get sick, go do treatment and start all over. I just hit 10 years and 7 months, and it hasn't come back. Other than 2013, I had thyroid cancer, totally separate. And I think I'm still convinced that was from the treatment I got, all the chemicals and just the lifestyle I lived. I'm almost 50, and I tell people for 42 years of my life, I probably didn't make the best choices of what I was putting in or 38 years of my life until I got cancer, didn't make the best choices. And now I'm careful what I do, what I eat, watching my weight, trying to bring my weight down. I used to be 514 pounds. Right now I'm at about 270. I'm trying to go to 200. So, I try to be healthy, but we immediately just started, my mom was the first nurse for hospice in Palm Beach County. My family helped get hospice started.
I didn't know that.
But I never heard of kids during the whole time. I actually became the first ever volunteer for hospice in Palm Beach County that I went to my mom because I said, I saw they had a couple of kids. Most of them didn't have cancer, but they had some that had muscular dystrophy and stuff and other issues where they were terminal. And I said, all your volunteers, Mom, I said, no offense, but all your volunteers are like a bunch of 70-year-old women. They can't relate with kids. So at the age of 14, I became the first volunteer for hospice of Palm Beach County. And immediately after I went through volunteer training, I got a kid named AJ Kleppinger, who was 8 years old and had a brain tumor. And they assigned me to him. And I remember walking into his house, and he was laying on the couch. He didn't feel well. And his mom said, I don't know what you could do. He just lays around. And she said, he's going to die. He's been given, a year to live maybe. And I said to him, what do you want to do? He said, I want to ride a bike again. And I said, well, you're going to do that. And I remember his dad pulled me outside and said, don't tell my son he can ride a bike. And, being the 14-year-old punk I was, I said, stop telling your kid he's going to die. I said, we know he's going to, unless there's a miracle. But as long as he's alive, let's treat him like he's alive. He's not buried yet. And he passed about a year and a half later, but got to ride a bike, got him out playing basketball, got him playing video games. So I knew a lot about cancer. I'd never seen, other than AJ and a couple of kids, never really saw kids with cancer. The only other young person I ever knew that had cancer was in his 20s. My uncle had Hodgkin's. And, all my mom's patients in hospice were older. Well, then I get diagnosed, and now I'm like going to the cancer center. And now I'm starting to see younger kids. And because I do stand up, even though, I literally, when I found out cancer, the first thing I did is I started writing jokes about it because I'm like, I got to laugh or else I'm just going to go nuts. And so I would drag myself out to some of the comedy clubs, the open mics, and, tell the owners, can I just do 5 minutes on stage just to keep myself normal? I looked horrible. I mean, when you're going through chemo, I lost my hair. I'm probably one of the few people I know that put on 80 pounds during chemo from the steroids and the injections and everything.
My
But
son put on a lot of weight as well.
yeah, I was like, I remember my doctor telling me, he's like, Wayne, you're going to lose weight. And I was like, that's awesome. Like I'd already been losing weight. I was trying to get, for the last like 13 years, I've been trying to get down to 200 pounds, and it's been a struggle because I'll put on weight, I'll get sick, and I'll wind up, putting on weight. And I thought, man, but I put on weight. And so I started like on stage talking about my journey uh, in a kind of joking form. It's kind of, I've had people tell me it's not funny, but I remember my parents. Here's my mom, who for 21 years was a hospice nurse, but now her son's got cancer and she didn't know how to deal with it.
Put your phone down a little bit so we can see your
Oh,
face.
sorry. I'm horrible with Zoom. So my mom didn't know how to deal with it. And it was interesting because, like, I remember she called me and she said, you need to get a video camera. You need to get an iPod so you can listen to music. Cause I've been involved in the music industry too for years, and music is my therapy. And I said, Mom, I can't even afford chemo. How am I going to afford a video camera to record myself? And how am I going to afford an iPod? That's crazy. And I can't ask people to give me money for that. They're already giving me money for treatment. And I remember all of a sudden we went to the door like 2 days later, and there was a box from Best Buy, and it was a video camera and an iPod. So I remember a couple of days later, I was at the Improv, and I said, oh my gosh, my parents just started buying me cancer presents. I said, I have stage 3 cancer. So they got me a video camera and an iPod. I wonder if I had stage 4, if they would have kicked in for that DVR. And people laughed. And then a couple of people came up afterwards. And I remember one of the club owners came up and said, I don't know if that's really funny. I don't know if I want you talking about having cancer from our stage. Do you think that's funny? And I said, it's my journey, what I'm going through. And as soon as she said that, a young guy came over and he said, at first I didn't think that was funny that you were making fun of your cancer. He said, but my girlfriend has breast cancer and I don't know how to talk to her. And I said, how would you talk to her if she didn't? He said, well, I would just talk to her like she was normal. I said, having cancer does not make her abnormal. It just means she needs a little more love and attention. And from that point on, I thought, well, forget it. I don't care if somebody gets mad if I talk about my cancer. I rather do it and help people. And then I started hearing of people that were in the same situation as we were. For instance, I had a friend of mine. She says her sister had spinal cancer. And she said, Wayne, the insurance company will not get her a hospital bed for at home. They want to give her a pad, like a soft cushion pad, instead of the medical bed that the doctor is requiring. So it would take the pressure off her spine where the cancer was, because she was in pain. And I said, well, what do you need? She said, a hospital bed. And I said, give me 5 minutes. And I went on Facebook and I said, all right, everybody. I called clinics to help. Clinics can help. And they said, we have a hospital bed, but it's $175 to get it delivered. So I went on Facebook and I said, hey, everybody, I have, within an hour, I need everybody to send to my PayPal $175, because Team Felber, we didn't even have our 501c3 yet. We just kept calling ourselves Team Felber and doing stuff for people. I said, we want to get a hospital bed for a cancer patient. And we wound up getting $550. So we gave all the money to the family so they could have Christmas that year, so they could get bed sheets, get whatever they needed. And we just started doing stuff like that. So for the last 10 years, I've done comedy shows and concerts, and we've just raised money for anybody in need, not just cancer patients, but a lot of cancer patients. And then, I don't want to sound like I'm a constant medical walking nightmare, but I am. I've had 2 heart attacks. I've had diabetes. I had an accident where I lost 5 toes. I've almost died from septic shock several times. So about 2 years ago, I said to my wife, I said, Team Felber, we should help more than cancer patients, because we're not just running into cancer patients. We're running into people saying, gosh, I don't have $100 to get my cardiac medication, or diabetics that are saying, I don't have money to get my insulin, or I don't have money. Jupiter Medical has a great diabetic training class, but you have to have a copay to go there. Oh, I don't have the copay to do it. So I said, I want to help everybody, because, or even mental health. I've struggled with depression for years, ever since I was a kid. Probably, I've had anxiety and depression, and have been at the verge of suicide. So I said, I want to help all these people. I literally was like, I pray every night, like, God, I need $1 million. I need $10 million. I am one of the few people that if I won $1 billion tomorrow, I would still live in my condo. I would still go and do comedy shows, and all of it would go to patients. I would maybe get a 2-bedroom, just because we're a little cluttered here, and I would get a few more cats. But so last year, right before COVID hit, we did the application for our 501c3, and in May made Team Felber an official nonprofit. Because what was happening was, when we would do shows, everybody's going, oh, I'll give you $100, but I would give you 1,000. Our company would give you $1,000 if we could write it off on taxes. So I said, well, we're just going to go for it. So we applied. Also, we got our 501c3, and then COVID just really broke out and got really bad. So I told my wife last April, right before we got our official, I said, let's raise some money, because we started running into people that had, I can't work because of COVID, or I got COVID and got sick and lost my job, or I got COVID and was out of work and can't pay my rent. So really what Team Felber, our thing is, we say we're changing lives one laugh at a time. But what we do is we raise money to help people that are in medical crisis. We to help them financially. It's we keep it very private, specific. If somebody comes to us and says, for instance, my child has cancer,
like I did with
like you did, yes, and we don't name names, but yes, like you came to us and said, hey, I have a friend whose child has cancer, and they can't work because they're going to St. Jude's.
yes.
I immediately, I think actually, maybe you'd even shared their GoFundMe.
Yes, I did.
I'm constantly on Facebook. I have 3 Facebook pages. I have about 20,000 people that follow me, and I follow back. And so what we do is, if we see a need, we just reach out. A lot of charities sit and wait for people to come to them and ask for money. We actually are one of the few charities, I would say, that I try to find people to help, because Jean Fisher from Cancer Alliance, which is a great organization, she found me. She could have heard me on the radio and said, oh, that poor guy, I hope he gets help. Or maybe he'll call our organization. But she actually found me and said, we want to help. And I was like, what? You want to give me money? And so that's what we do now. So like, yeah, when I heard, your friend, one of the moms that.
We can only see your
horrible. Okay. I should have my wife here. But yeah, like.
So how can any of the moms that's part of our Beauty in the Breakdown, how can they reach out to you when they are in need?
So right now, we're working on our website. The best way to reach us is right now through our Facebook. It's if you just go put in your browser @Team Felber, it takes you right to our Facebook page and has all our contact information. When I say we're small, like literally my wife and I run everything out of our condo.
Okay.
We like I told you before we got on, my mom said the other day, she said, you guys are small but mighty. We try to.
True. The amount of people that you've helped already have been tremendous.
I said, so in September, I became officially 10 years cancer free. We did an all day event for 10 hours, every 10 minutes after every hour. We went on and we interviewed people. We did a Facebook Live and we interviewed people that had helped us on our journey and that were involved in Team Felber. And I said, I want to raise $10,000 by May of 2021 to help people. And we literally did. But part of that, it was interesting because I said, we're going to have a website built. We're going to need business cards, brochures. Our website, teamfelber.org, should be activated hopefully no later than May 23rd, which is our next event. And that's only because we're not paying somebody to do it. We have a guy that's volunteering to do it right now because
May 23rd is your 50th.
Yes, May 25th is actually my 50th birthday, but Sunday the 23rd is a lot of things. I will actually be celebrating 10 years and 8 months cancer free. I will be celebrating turning 50. Yeah. My wife's birthday is this week. And then it's our 1-year anniversary of officially becoming a 501c3. So we're doing a comedy show at the Brewhouse Gallery in Lake Park with Flip Schultz from Comedy Central and HBO. He's going to come out and we're about halfway sold out. So it's good. And that's how we raise money. We do comedy shows and then we'll be doing another one in September. I'm working right now, waiting to get a date from the Improv because that'll be our big once a year comedy show. And then in between, we try to do them about every 3 months until we can get back to the point where I can walk into offices and say, hey, I need a check for $10,000. Right now with COVID, it's been kind of hard to raise money, but they can find us right now. Just put @Team Felber, excuse me, in your browser. It'll take you to our Facebook. They can email headcoach@teamfelber.org. And all we ask is that they tell us what their medical emergency is, their crisis. Give us a list of their monthly bills and then and their contact information. And we put it to our board, usually within 48 hours. Right now, the longest we've had to wait is 48 hours for our board to approve anything. We're very trusting. We don't, a lot of organizations, they want a doctor's note. They want, right now, we're not so big that we have to go that far. But I mean, we just trust that the money we raise, we don't give out cash. We can't actually. The way our 501c3 is set up, we cannot give out cash. But what we do is we directly pay the vendor. I'll say this: in the last 3 months, we've paid out almost $5,000 in car payments, mortgage payments, electric payments.
Excuse me. Blessing to those people that you've helped out so far.
Yeah. Mental health care for some people that were dealing with, a year of being quarantined. And
yes.
So we don't,
a lot of people.
Yeah, we don't just deal with cancer patients. It's anything that would be considered a medical crisis. Like I said, it could be physical or mental. There's a lot of people like that. We've had, we haven't really limited what we're doing. I mean, now if somebody comes in and is like, I need to go see my doctor because like I got like something that needs a Band-Aid put on, we're not going to do that. But we're dealing a lot with, we've been dealing with families and children. And so, yeah, that's how they can find us. Head coach at teamfelber.org or go into the browser, put @Team It'll take you to our Facebook page. It's got our phone number on there. They can write us through Facebook. They could find me, Wayne Felber. It's FELB as a boy, ER. Just put in Wayne Felber and I'm like a social media nut. It'll be on there. You can go to Debbie's page. We're friends. You can find us there. So yeah, and we're here to help. We're like I said, we've spent about $5,000 in the last 3 months. And if they want to make donations, I'm just going to give a quick plug too. They can also do that. My wife and I this month, right now on our Facebooks, we're asking for our birthdays for people to make donations because we want to get to the point where we don't ever have to tell anybody, no, we can't help. I have to be honest, we had that recently. We're getting low in the coffers because we're not American Cancer Society. We're not a big charity, but We have raised close to $10,000 in the last year to help people. And we got a lot of stuff in the works. We're going to be working on trying to get some grants. And as we get bigger and the longer we've been around, we'll be able to apply for more money from corporations. And everybody thinks I'm crazy. I really, in the next few weeks, I'm going to be working on trying to get on some television shows like Shark Tank and just ask these celebrities like, hey, you're a millionaire. Come on, dude, give me $100,000 and I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. So,
Well, I definitely know you will do that. I mean, I've
yeah.
seen what you can do. I've seen your comedy. You're absolutely hilarious. I think so.
Oh, thank you.
And I know that, when Sean got his cancer, I mean, you reached out to me and, helped me. And that's what you do. You've got a heart of gold. And that's why I wanted you to tell your story. And I wanted the moms that are part of Beauty the Breakdown to know that there is help out there for them. You're one of them. And so they can reach out to you and say, hey, how can you help? So
I'm glad Sean didn't come to you and he wasn't like, hey mom, there's some creepy guy messaging me on Facebook. Cause I do remember, I remember your daughter mentioned it, I think on her Facebook. And I was like, okay, I'm not friends with Sean. So I don't remember how old he was at the time when he was diagnosed, but I knew he was a teenager.
17.
Okay. Yeah. So it's kind of weird. Like a guy in his 40s sending you a friend request, but I remember I messaged him and I'm like, you don't know me. I know your mom. I know your sister. There are a couple other people I mentioned in common. I'm not like a creepy old man, but I want to help you because I've been through cancer. And I was so glad, like all of a sudden he sends me a friend request. And I'm like, cool. He didn't think I was that creepy, like, weird guy. He realized. And that's what I do. It's weird. Like I literally, like I'm a part of a congestive heart failure group because I have a internal defibrillator in my heart in case it stops. So I saw a girl that was talking about, I'm depressed. I have CHF. I'm depressed. I'm stuck at home. I'm afraid to go out. She lived in Oregon. And I sent her a message and I'm like, you don't know me. I'm not weird. I'm married. I'm not hitting on you. But here's one of my comedy videos. Watch it if it makes you laugh. Because I talk about how I went through having a heart attack and how I had cancer. And then she wrote me back and she was like, send me a friend request. She's like, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I mean, my wife was like, because she was also talking about some financial needs. I was like, right now, a lot of what we do is in South Florida. It doesn't limit it to being in South Florida. But right now, that takes precedence. And then we're eventually going to go to other states and eventually worldwide. But, my wife's like, can we send her some money, some help? Can we offer to pay her light bill? And I said, we want to do that for as many people as we can.
Yes.
But right now, if I can make her laugh, that's
made an impact.
Yeah. So
definitely.
All right.
Thank you very much for all that.
No, thank you.
And
thanks for having me.
Early happy birthday. I know that I won't be
Thank
able
you.
to celebrate with you. I'll be on my way to South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
I know. I was bummed when I found that out, but I'll be there with all my heart and soul.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for
Thanks for having me.
And we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.